welcome back to the channel. I haven't done a video in quite a while. That is because, you know, if you did watch some of my more recent videos, I am trying to save up for a couple of big things for the car to make sure they're ready for next year's car shows, the main one being Ford Fair. Now, some may think this is absolutely pointless of a video, but for me, I just thought I'd share the results of today just out of interest, because basically it's to do with the car, what power it's actually running. So going back months and months ago, when I had the full exhaust fitted, the full Milltek exhaust fitted to the car with the sports cap, the 4:1 manifold and the non-res catback. I ran the car for like a couple of weeks. I disconnected the battery for a while, and then what I did is I went back to the same rolling road that I did before I had all that fitted, just to see if it had made a difference. And basically it pretty much hadn't. It looked identical, maybe a few more horsepower, but that was it. Now the thing is, what's strange is like Milltek themselves even state, you know, I think stuff like even with a flexi pipe it can gain you like 5% more horsepower and all this kind of stuff. So I actually went to them and I did say, you know, like, I've got a full exhaust. I was expecting, I said nothing crazy, but I thought I'd at least get maybe 5 to 10 horsepower or something. And I said, you know, surprised that I only got a few. And themselves, as well as the place that is on the rolling road, and a few of you commented as well, said, you know, there's various factors that are involved in this. Now, you can't expect a lot from an exhaust, as we've mentioned, but you would expect something. Now, one of the big differences was that when I first tested the car, when it was standard, it was winter, it was really cold, so obviously the air is more dense. The actual place, the facility that I was in, obviously the air that the car was sucking in will have been a lot colder than when I had it in the last time with the exhaust, when it was the heat of the summer. We had different humidity, it was very hot, so potentially the car wasn't, you know, a fair comparison. So now some saying, like even my wife is saying, why are you wasting your money on having it tested again? True, because I know it's potentially not going to be any difference, but I want that comparison of a cooler winter day now. Now, funnily enough, the weather, if you know, even when this video goes out this weekend, we've actually had like a small sort of heat wave in the UK. So, for example, I'm actually driving down this morning and it is winter and it's 11 degrees, which is not bad, seeing as it's really early in the morning. But it's a hell of a lot cooler, and hopefully the humidity is different as well. So it should be a better, fairer test anyway. So anyway, I've talked enough. Let's show the car having its runs, and then when I get home we'll talk through the results. Right everyone, so back in the car, hopefully you can hear me okay. It's pissing it down outside. Weather has properly changed since I had the car on the rolling road. It's a few days later, but it's the only chance I've been able to do like a summary video. So without further ado, I am pleased to say that it has made a difference. And some may think, well, duh, of course it would. But to be absolutely sure, I did want to get the car checked in cooler temperatures than when it was hot. I'll do the result first, and then we'll have a little look at the other graphs. So the car hit basically 151 horsepower and 185 newton meters, Now again, that doesn't sound a lot because it's like, well, you know, these are supposed to come with 148 as standard. Something that the place told me, but also I've had comments and private messages back when I was testing the car with the numbers, that on rolling roads they don't quite get the power down quite as well as they do on the road. So they always say, like, for this car it's like, you know, maybe 3 to 5 horsepower. So realistically the car is close to about 155 horsepower to be more accurate. Now, what does that mean in regards to where the car was at the very, very beginning, and also once the car had the exhaust fitted in the summer in the heat? So the first run, when the car just had the cone filter on and it was the winter, it was actually even colder weather than when the car's just been tested, it ran 143 horsepower and 181.6 newton meters of torque. So what does that mean in regards to when the car was first tested, back when the weather was really, really cold? That was 143 horsepower and 181.6 newton meters of torque. I'm going to pop the graphs up on screen as I'm talking. Now, where it was now after the exhaust in similar sort of temperature testing, it was an 8 horsepower increase and a 4 newton meters of torque increase there. So do you know what? That's not actually that bad. You know, if the car probably had like a service and that just before I'd done the test, then it probably would have hit about 10 horsepower more. Now, do you know what? I'm really pleased with those figures, because at the end of the day, that is just a full exhaust. It's had no remap, which obviously the car really would benefit from. I mean, actually looking at the graph, if I look at the recent one, so the one just done now in cooler temperatures with the full exhaust, you can actually see there, the red line, that the horsepower is increasing and increasing, but then as soon as it hits about 6,000 RPM, it does like a bit of a dip, and then it kind of jolts back up again. So you wonder if little dips and things like that would obviously be more like, it would benefit from a remap. Now, back when I tested the car and it was hot weather, it only produced 147 horsepower. So that's shown that I've gained 4 horsepower just because of the temperature. And you know what? That would probably go up a little bit more when the weather is even colder. Then when I did the test with the full exhaust in the hot weather and it only produced 147 horsepower, that was when we were getting those like 30°C days. So obviously a big change. And then when I got this tested again now, when it's cooler, but actually not that cold, it was about 13 Celsius. So if it was even colder, potentially it might have gained another 1 or 2 horsepower, who knows? So yeah, you know, I'm pretty chuffed with that, you know, to sort of think that the car is probably producing on a really nice cold day, probably about 155 horsepower and 185 newton meters of torque. And you know what? That's a really good now benchmark of where the car is with just an exhaust and a cone filter. So now I'm going to keep this all on record, because the plan, as you know, with the car in the future is to do some more power mods, but I'm not looking to go for anything crazy. I'm not looking to stretch that 200 horsepower mark. My aim is to sort of get it around the 180s, but with really good torque using that Fusion Fabrications inlet. So I know when I started all these rolling road videos, you know, I was saying how I'm not bothered about numbers, and like I said, I'm not, because I'm not bothered about saying I've got a 200 horsepower car. I want a more usable car, but it is actually quite exciting and also quite addictive. Now, I've been to this rolling road 3 times this year now. My wife really does think I've wasted my money, but please comment below and say I haven't, because I don't think I have. You know, this is for my own benefit, but also for you viewers and maybe people doing the research into the cars. It's good to see these benchmarks. Now, the problem is, a lot of people might say, boast about the car that it has whatever horsepower with what mods, but then they've got nothing to compare it to. I've now got various graphs at various stages, in various temperatures, various conditions, so I've got a really good idea of where the car was, where it currently is, and then also when I do get all the other mods done, honestly I think the car would transform, because I can feel a little bit of a difference just with that 8 horsepower. Honestly, I do think I can. And the graph even shows, you know, where the sort of torque is and that, you know, it's a little bit better. It does feel better. And obviously the main thing is the noise for an exhaust. Now, just with the 8 horsepower difference, I've done the maths and that's a 5.6% performance increase. But I can imagine that's going to go up quite a lot once I've done the inlet cams and then a remap, because that's basically what the car needs, what I want to get it to that sort of figure. So yeah, you know, watch this space. Now, as you know, or actually you might not know on here, but because it's something that I've more talked to on Instagram, is I am saving a lot of money. I've been doing some heavy savings since Ford Fair, and it's still going to take me months before I'm there yet, but basically I'm spending money on the outside of the car because I want more of a impact for Ford Fair and all the car shows next year. I've spent a lot on the interior. I have spent quite a lot, a chunk of money, like £1,000 on the exhaust this year. So yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to getting the outside of the car looking even better and how I want it to be. Hint, hint, it's not going to look the same. And I would like to get some of the interior done, but if I need to sacrifice that and think about, do you know what, maybe I would like some more power, then that's probably the next thing I'll have to save up for. But anyway, hopefully this was useful. Honestly, for me, like I said, it's quite addictive doing these things, and also just the idea of seeing your car doing, like, I can't remember, it was like 120 miles an hour or something on the rollers, it was clocked at. Something like that. It is mad to see your car, like, and hearing it from the back. It's really cool. It's a really cool experience. If you've not done it, it is quite exciting. But also, it's just exciting to see those figures. You know I didn't think I would be bothered about it, but I'm not so much bothered about it. I just find a big interest in it. Seeing the numbers and how they've changed is fascinating. So anyway, as always, really appreciate, you know, the likes, comment below, and any new subscribers. Honestly, it means a lot to me. It just takes you a second to click that subscribe button, and to me, seeing those numbers grow is awesome. I would love to hit, it's not gonna happen, I know it's not, but if I said to myself I'm gonna aim big and go for 3,500 subs by the end of the year, that would be fantastic. So share the channel away if you can, that would be brilliant. And yeah, onwards and upwards with both my channel and the car. I am looking forward to the future. Thanks all for watching, see you again soon, bye.